industry, similar to other industries locally and internationally, has been affected by COVID. What I am, however, proud to say is that upfront, we clearly stopped the operation, as in Venetia Mine, when we went on the level 5 lockdown, similar to other industries in the country. That was on the 26th of March. And even though we then had an exemption to start our operation, we actually didn't start immediately. We went back, reviewed all our risk assessments, and made sure that we had all our workplace controls in place, including the essential supplies that we required in order to keep both our employees and our communities safe. During this time, we worked very closely with our stakeholders, including our union, the National Union of Mine Workers, and our local and provincial stakeholders as well. Particularly in the space, SIGA, we worked with the Department of Health, who have been a clear partner in this journey. Coming out of this, we implemented our We Care program, which has 4 key pillars. One, it's around the physical, where we've clearly put in all the necessary controls in place. And SIGA, this includes things such as us investing in the 10 million rand testing lab that is sitting up in Musina, us making sure that all our employees have got the necessary protection equipment that is required, ranging from masks, sanitizers, etc. And us making sure that we've clearly put in place critical things that will assist us during this time. So one of the critical things is us saying to all our employees and contractors that if they feel symptomatic, then they shouldn't come to work. We've got an app that can be used to record this, and we also have a hotline number that can be utilized to record this. But an expectation is that anybody who feels symptomatic should not come to work. We've tested overall, from a DBS in South Africa perspective, over 1,600 people. And clearly, this is a critical measure for us to make sure that we identify individuals who may be positive for COVID, and then more critically, assist them in this journey. So what we have at Venetia, for example, SIGA, is that we've got isolation units that are dedicated to assisting our employees who have tested positive for COVID. This is a critical area, clearly part of the first element of We Care, which looks at the physical well-being. The second element is equally important, and that is around emotional well-being. And what we have done in the space is that we have clearly yet again worked with our partners to work on critical programs, not only for our workforce, but also for our broader communities. And around Musina, or around Venetia Mine, this includes Messina and Blowback. So when you start looking at it, it includes exercises such as the destigmatization exercises, which is something that all of us should be working on. And it also includes other parts that are assisting people who may be struggling with coping with COVID from an emotional well-being perspective. And I'd like you and others to join us on this front. This is not just for Venetia, but it's for all our operations across the entire Anglo-American group. The third element, again, very important, is the element of living with dignity. And the key thing that we've worked on during this time is something that all of us should be working on, and that is around the fight against gender-based violence. What we have done is that we've partnered with NGOs around, from a Venetia Mine perspective, Musina and Blowback. And here we are joining the fight, and we are saying that we all have got to do our bit as we fight against gender-based violence. Last but definitely not least, SIGA, you'd understand that for us to protect both our employees and our communities, we clearly needed to work on our community response plans. We have essentially implemented this across the board. It includes things such as the provision of infrastructure. Critical at the moment is clearly water, the availability of water. So we've worked on this together with our local stakeholders to make it available. Secondly, it's the provision of supplies that are assisting our hospitals and our clinics as well. Very critical area to support during this period, simply because we have got to fight the spread of COVID together. And I'm very proud of some of the entities that I've visited during this time, clear partnership that's taking place with those hospitals, and clearly the Department of Health is playing a key role around this front. What we also looked at is the provision of food supplies. So yes, we have been providing food around our areas where we operate. And from a DBS perspective, that includes clearly areas around Venetia Mine, covering both Mosina and Blowback, and then areas around Kimberley, Namakwaland, Voorspoed Mine, even though we stopped that operation, and then areas around Cape Town where we've got our DBS Marine South Africa operations has also been absolutely critical in the space. So if I look at it, additional things that we also included support insofar as the school's reopening program is concerned. We are very passionate about education, and we've had to do our part in the space as well. Starting off, our purpose is to make life brilliant. And as part of making life brilliant, the element of legacy is very critical to us as a business. Kimberley is our birthplace. This is where we started in 1888 and where we mined for over 117 years up until 2005. When we stopped our operations and the previous years prior to that, we actually sold some of our mining assets to multiple companies, including CamJV. And we're extremely proud of the fact that CamJV continues to operate in Kimberley, simply because it is absolutely critical for us to see continued employment and to see continued job creation as well. When I then look at what we still have in Kimberley, simply because we still have a presence in Kimberley, our site holder Sales South Africa business is still based in Kimberley. This is where we sort, value, and sell all DBS production. Our Kimberley Micro Diamond Lab is also still positioned in Kimberley. And this is where we treat all the samples that we get, not only from South Africa from an exploration perspective, but from other Southern African countries, including Botswana and Namibia. We take them to the KMDL, as we call it, and we process them there. So another critical area of our business as well. I also have to say that quite a few of our senior leaders that are based in other parts of our business actually come from Kimberley, or they previously worked in Kimberley. So as you would understand, Kimberley has played a critical role in shaping our business to what it is today. When we started looking at what it is that we were going to do around COVID, we had to include Kimberley as part of that space as well. So a little bit earlier, when I addressed another question, I spoke about the fact that we have our We Care program and that we are doing various work around the areas where we operate. In the Northern Cape, we certainly included both Kimberley and Namakwaland. So if I look at it, to date, we've distributed over 5,100 food parcels in both those areas, and it's simply because it is an absolute requirement. And I'd like to thank our provincial government and our local governments for working with us through this period. As I said earlier, partnerships is absolutely critical as we fight against the COVID-19 virus. For that question, Lerato, and yes, we did actually close that office, and it was simply because we tried to make sure that we protect people by preventing them from going into spaces where they wouldn't be able to social distance, etc. What we, however, put in place is that we worked with Anglo American Zimele on other programs during this period. So firstly, we offered a 3-month payment holiday for individuals that form part of our Zimele program. Those are individuals that we would have advanced loans to, and the 3-month payment holiday is not associated with any additional interest during this period. The second thing is that we made the government initiatives visible to those employees. So something that you may know is that we've also, as part of the broader Anglo Group, assisted with funding some of those initiatives, and we provided information to individuals to make sure that they can essentially access those particular spaces. We also continued providing online mentorship simply because clearly individuals have been encouraged to work from home during this period. And we also said to individuals that there is no reason why you should not continue being mentored during this period. So we made this very clear to individuals. And clearly additional things such as communication and awareness are things that we've continued with. I have to say that it's been absolutely critical for us to look after our employees and our contractors during this period. So what we have essentially said is that individuals that have comorbidities, and even those that may never have been declared up front, we've encouraged them to come forward and declare those comorbidities. We also, as part of our Return to Work program, took each and every one of our employees from the operations through pre-screening. And the pre-screening didn't just look at things that are linked to COVID, as in temperature, etc. It looked at other critical comorbidities that we needed to assist our workforce with. We had a look at whether those were controlled or not controlled, and we've said that we've got a duty to partner with those employees through this period to assist them with their comorbidities. Those that we deemed to clearly be putting them at risk, we've said to those employees that, if possible, work from home. If it's not possible for you to work from home, we've tried to find another role to accommodate those individuals. And where that hasn't been possible, we've still clearly worked very closely with those employees. It hasn't been easy for the diamond industry, similar to other industries, but for De Beers specific employees, we've continued paying during this period. And on a month-to-month basis, we have been saying to people that yes, we will continue paying. It's not an easy period, clearly, and we continue evaluating this, but we've tried our best to make sure that we support our critical employees. I just want to say that at the BS Group and the broader Anglo American Group, inclusion and diversity is one of our critical policies. We believe that each and every individual that works for us needs to be free to be themselves, and we promote diversity, which includes the employment of people with disabilities. I can proudly say that we have gone beyond the government target. It's not to say that it's enough. We continue doing more in the space. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Make sure that you continue adhering to the regulations that have been put in.